Hello, how you doing? It's been way too long, I feel like. But anyway, as you can see, I'm not alone. Shaya is traveling with me this summer. She's the best travel buddy. And right now we are in a forest somewhere in Germany. And I just felt like I had to make this video to tell you about my plans, what I've been up to the last 6 months, and just answer some of your questions. So let's get into it. Shall we? Let's go. So I want to start by answering the most asked question, which is what I've been up to. I know that it feels like I haven't done much for the past 6 months, but it's actually quite the opposite. I started the year by traveling to the US. I went there to pick up some bikes, and after that I went on a really long and ambitious bike trip across Mexico with Jewel. And the idea behind it was to produce a really long documentary about the whole trip. But the bad news is I failed miserably at filming that. I think I really underestimated how hard it was gonna be. And yeah, I think I filmed for maybe the first 7 or 10 days. And after that, I pretty much quit the filming because it was just too much. The trail was very hard. There was a lot of sand. We were biking mostly across the desert. And yeah, there's a part of me that would love to have something to show you, but I don't. We ended up finishing the trip. It was really fun and we saw some amazing places. But yeah, there's no video about it. After that, we went back to the US and I got in touch with Minnie, who was kind enough to lend us a car for a few weeks, and we went on a really fun road trip across the US. I actually made a video about it. It's on my channel. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. I put so much work into that video. And yeah, that trip was really fun. We drove across 4 states: California, Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. I had never been to the West Coast, so I was really looking forward to seeing all the national parks. And yeah, I think the video really shows how happy I was. After the US, I came back to Europe and I was actually invited to this really fun boat trip in the south of France alongside some other creators. It was one of those moments that I had to pinch myself because it was too good to be true. And yeah, it was really fun. I had never been to a sailboat before. I obviously puked the first day, but then it got better. And yeah, a big shout out to Pirates of Paradise for organizing the whole trip, and also thank you Leah and Karam for inviting me. After the boat trip, I went back to Portugal and I just edited for days on end. The video from the US took me really long. I don't really know why. I think my perfectionism really pushes me back sometimes, but I try my best to just find a balance between my perfectionism and actually getting things done. And yeah, I was forgetting about that. Alongside the video, I actually launched a pretty small photo book about our trip in the US. I co-created that with Jewel. And it was a really fun project. For a long time, I wanted to create a physical product, and now I finally have it. You can still get one if you want. There's a link down below. And yeah, I think that pretty much concludes what I've been up to for the past 6 months. So before we continue, I just want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is this hammock that I'm sitting on from a brand called Anymaka. Right off the bat, you can probably tell that it isn't your average hammock. It only takes 3 seconds to set up, which probably makes it the fastest hammock to set up. The stand itself is also very versatile. It easily converts from chair mode to lounge mode. So whether you want to sit and read a book or you want to lay down and just take a nap, the anymaka has got you covered. And you can also easily adjust the tension so you can fit different body sizes. Besides the hammock, there are some accessories that you can get with it, like this canopy top to protect you from the sun that's actually SPF50 graded, or this mosquito net to protect you from the bugs during the night. So if you'd like to get one, make sure you check the link down below and use my code to get 10% off on your purchase. Again, thank you so much, Anymaka, for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the questions. What are your plans for the future? Well, it's funny that you ask that because I don't really have a plan. I think I always lived life like that. And as a creator and YouTuber, there are so many different possibilities that sometimes it becomes difficult to just choose what to focus on. So right now I'm traveling around Europe with my van and my little dog. We don't really have a plan. I'm just driving around. And after that, I don't know. I'm always open to new adventures, but I don't have a plan. What I think you can expect is actually less videos on YouTube. I think last year I tried to upload weekly for a few months and I really didn't like it. It's really difficult to come up with ideas every week and I was not enjoying some of the videos that I was putting out. So I think I want to just focus on less projects and make them really great. Obviously that's not super smart from a business perspective. So I might also focus a little bit on short form and Instagram. I've been experimenting with it a little bit and it's actually quite fun. So I think you can expect more stuff on Instagram and less stuff on YouTube, which doesn't mean that my videos on YouTube are not going to be great. It's actually quite the opposite. But yeah, I think that's my plan. Someone is asking, how's the dog doing? Well, she's doing well, as you can see. She loves it. She has been in the family for 11 years now. She's becoming an old lady, but I just thought it would be a cool idea to bring her this summer because I didn't have any company and I would also like to have some memories together. So I think she really likes it. She gets so much attention. She gets to see so many different places. Yeah, I love it. Van life versus bikepacking. Well, that's a good question. I have very strong opinions about this, but if I had to pick one, I would say bikepacking because for me, that's real adventure. I think that there's a lot more that can happen when you're bikepacking. You meet a lot more people. Usually strangers are very curious about what you're doing, so they ask you questions. And things can go wrong very easily. And when you're traveling by van, none of that happens really, at least from my own experience. It's a lot more difficult to meet strangers because you're inside your own little nook. So you really need to put effort into meeting people. And I would just say that it's a lot less interesting from a storytelling perspective because usually things go according to plan. So I would say if you want real adventure, go bikepacking. If you want comfort, van life is the way to go. Yeah. What's the most difficult thing about the way you live? I would say making friends and just staying in touch with those friends. I think that's something I didn't put any effort when I was just starting because I was so happy to do my own thing and just go travel and make videos. But recently I've started to feel this empty space inside of me. So I've been trying to put more effort into that and just staying in touch with friends, even if it's just texting, go visit them whenever I can. A lot of my friends also travel a lot, so it's always hard to come up with plans together. So yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest downsides of this lifestyle, but I'm okay with it for now. How do you afford van life? A lot of people ask me this question and I don't really get it. I also get a lot of comments saying stuff like, of course you can do this, you're rich. I'm not rich. Van life is really the cheapest way to go. I understand that there's a bit of an investment at the beginning because you have to buy the van, you have to renovate it, but even that is not that much, especially if you compare it with buying a house, for example. So once that's done, it's really cheap. All I spend money on is food, which I need to buy anyway, and diesel. I think I spend around 300 to 400 euros a month on diesel, which can sound like a lot, but if you compare it with paying rent for an apartment, for example, it's not that much. So I would say if you want to save money, Vanlife is the way to go. Is it boring to travel alone? Well, that's a really good question. I'm not gonna say that I've never been bored while traveling alone. It can definitely happen. But I think it really depends on what you're expecting from the trip. If you're just traveling for the sake of traveling, I think it's a lot more fun to do it with someone else because you can share the experience. But if you have a project that you want to work on, it can be like a video, for example, or writing a book, it can be very beneficial to do it on your own because you can spend as much time as you want working on that. There are no schedules, there's no one else to please. So you can just focus on that, you can just be with your thoughts. You can also way more easily interact with locals. So yeah, I think it really depends on what your goal is, but I would say if you're traveling alone, just come up with some project or something that you want to achieve with that trip. What is your current camera gear plus tripod? I use the Sony a7S III, which is a really great camera, but I feel like all the cameras these days are amazing, so it doesn't really matter. Then I have the Tamron 17-28 f2.8. I also have the Sony 24-105 f4, which is a really great travel lens. I think if I could only pick one lens, that would be the one. Then I have the Sennheiser MKE 200 for audio. I also bought these tiny wireless mics from Hollyland. I think they are amazing. They're so small. As far as drones go, I have the DJI Air 2S, which is really small and the image is amazing. I also have a GoPro 11 that I barely use because I don't like the image. And tripods, I have the Peak Design carbon fiber travel tripod. It's a great tripod, but it's really overpriced. You can get something a lot cheaper that's just as good. How do you record the night time lapses in your videos? It's actually quite easy. It obviously depends on your camera because some cameras cannot do that. But basically, I set up my camera to take photos every 31 seconds. And each photo is a 30-second exposure at f2.8, ISO 2000. And then I just leave the camera outside for the whole night. Usually the battery dies after like 3 or 4 hours. And if I want to do the transition between nighttime and daytime, I just go outside at sunrise. I swap the batteries without moving the camera, and then I take a photo at sunrise. And when I'm editing, if I match it with the right sound effect and with the right song, it sounds and looks really cool. How do you take care of your hair while traveling? Well, it's funny that you asked that because I don't have my long hair anymore. I trimmed it at the beginning of this year because I was so tired of having to take care of that. So now I'm rocking this new look. It's way better, and I'm actually experimenting with not using shampoo, and so far I'm really enjoying it. It's been like 2 months and look, it's looking so good. So yeah, just water, that's it. So I think that's it for this video. I hope I made it a bit more clear what I've been up to, but also what my plans are for the future. I know that I'm going to upload less, but I promise that I'm going to try to come up with the best video ideas. Also, thank you Anymaka for sponsoring this video. If you want to check them out, the link is down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being there, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.